This is Doug Coyle, DJ Coyle Rugby. I'm here with Kevin Battle. Kevin is a national team coach. Was a professional coach with Pro Rugby. He's the founder and head coach of the Santa Barbara Rugby Academy. Kevin, how did you get into coaching?
Well, I kind of really lucked into it. There was a University of California, Santa Barbara had lost their coach, or he had no longer continued, and they had an opening. I hadn't had any coaching experience at the time, but certainly had a lot of interest in coaching and knew that was something I wanted to get into. I applied for the job, not really thinking I'd actually get it, and went through the interview process and was quite surprised at the end that I ended up a finalist and ultimately got the job. So, it was a lot of luck really being at the right place at the right time. And it's been quite an experience, a learning experience, especially in those first few years. I feel pretty good to to still be in the job now.
And how did you gain the recognition to go to the national level? By the way, you were also in charge of D1A rugby.
That's correct.
Rugby?
Yes.
Are you still involved?
Yes. Yeah. I'm still the commissioner for D1A college rugby. College rugby is pretty near and dear to my heart, and certainly having the opportunity to work with a lot of coaches that I admire and that I've since been able to develop some great friendships with. But as far as kind of my trajectory or pathway into coaching and coaching at a higher level, I mean, I think as coaches we're always looking for how we can develop and get better, and I've been fortunate that just a lot of great coaches have really opened their doors for me, have been willing to share information. And I think the hungrier you are as a coach and the more that you ask, surprisingly enough, the more that you'll receive and the more that you'll get. I think a lot of people, particularly in rugby, but I think in general, really want to help people who are interested in doing the work and interested in learning. And that old saying, hey, if I could just carry your bags and I go on that tour, that's really how I got involved. Is I started carrying bags. I would take any job that I could. I started off doing team management jobs for the Collegiate All-Americans Sevens team, under Al Caravelli and Emil Cygnus, and it's just continued to blossom from there. And I put my hand up and jump at a chance to travel as far as I need to go watch coaches, in their environment doing their work, and take as many notes as I can and get as much feedback as I can. So it's certainly been a lot of hard work, but a lot of passion and love behind it, and really enjoyable.
What's the commitment level to being involved in the national program, the tours? I know you were in World Cup, and that's 6 weeks.
Yeah, 6 weeks.
6 weeks, and the prep all summer.
Yeah, so
for that.
Yeah, so that's a 3-month tour, and I've been fortunate enough now. I've been to 2 15s World Cups and 1 Sevens World Cup, with working on the staff. And it is a huge sacrifice, but it's also it's one of those special, what I would tell my wife, a once in a lifetime opportunity that unfortunately or fortunately it's been a three time in a lifetime opportunity. But I think in order to be a high level coach or to be successful at anything, you really have to commit yourself to putting in a lot of work and a lot of time. And there's no shortcuts, and certainly this is there's hours upon hours in the day that I spend just directly focused into learning, developing, training, practicing, trying to perfect my craft, and that will continue for a long time to come, and there's just no other way around it. I mean, I know a lot of coaches, the things that we battle with is how much time can we put into the game. I've had to put every bit of time that I have into the game, and there's been a big sacrifice by me and also by my family. And certainly if I'm going to spend that time away from my family, I need to make sure that I'm doing something very worthwhile and very productive.
What are some of the unique differences in being a professional rugby coach? You worked with Sacramento Express Pro Rugby.
Yeah, I tell you, I mean, some of the real exciting things is to work with players at that caliber, to work with players who are also committed to putting in that type of time and commitment, to work with players who are focused on not only their training, but their health and wellness, their strength and conditioning, their diet. It's amazing to see these guys, who come in with sacks of lunch with, they've already prepared their chicken breast and their rice for their post-training meal, or But also working with coaches like Luke Gross and Freddie Waititi. I mean, not only are they phenomenal coaches, but just as human beings, they're a couple of the greatest people I've ever got a chance to meet. And so to work alongside with them and also be able to call them close friends is pretty special. I think from the coaching side of it, I mean, as far as the demands on you as a coach, I mean, when you're coaching professional athletes and international athletes, there's certainly a higher standard of preparation that they expect and that they deserve. So as far as the pressure on me constantly when it came to developing the training programs, to reviewing them, I mean, we filmed every single training session, we reviewed every single training session. So right after the morning session, I'm back on the computer, cutting up the video, finding out what worked, what didn't work, reviewing that with the players before we go out for the next session that afternoon, and doing the same thing in the evening. Spending most of my nights cutting up video, revising our training plans for the next day. So it's full on all the time. And then of course we have the coach feedback, whether it was Freddie, Luke, or myself giving each other feedback. And then we had a leadership group within the players who were also giving us feedback. I mean, after each training session, I'd walk off the field with John Quill, who was our captain and many-time capped Eagle, and I'd say, Johnny, what'd you think of the session? And he's like, KB, that session was shit today, And it's like, all right, well, what part didn't work? And he'd give me pretty real feedback, and we'd sit back and have to review what we did and figure out how we can make it better. So it's good to be able to have that kind of relationship with your players, and they can give you honest feedback. And that honest feedback you can take back and make yourself or improve on that for the next session.
Let's get back to the academy.
Yeah.
You started Santa Barbara Academy. Tell me a little bit about it, and tell us a little bit about the new development.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll start with the academy, which is certainly that's my baby, and it's an opportunity for me to continue to develop and practice my craft every single day. But initially we started the academy back in 2009 while I was still at UC Santa Barbara, and initially it was for selfish reasons. I mean, I was looking at Cal, looking at BYU, looking at St. Mary's, looking at all these great programs that were consistently doing well, and like a lot of people, I was throwing stones at, well, they got this advantage, they got that advantage, and instead of trying to knock other people down for their perceived advantages that they had, I had to try to figure out, how do I create my own advantage? And at the time, UC Santa Barbara, and still is a very difficult school to get into. I mean, it requires, they only accept, I think, the top 10% of students that graduate in the state of California. So it's pretty difficult to get students in. But we've got a beautiful junior college right down the road. That's obviously the barriers of entry are a lot less. And so I thought, you know what, when I get kids and families that come here and visit Santa Barbara and they want to be a part of the program, and a good number of them can't get accepted straight into to UC Santa Barbara. So my initial thought was, let's put them at the junior college and let's help them develop there, and let's keep an eye on them and monitor their grades, and they can transfer in as juniors. And we had some relative success initially with that, but what I also found is that I was also a junior college transfer, and I realized that it was really a lot closer to my heart in terms of, it wasn't just about getting kids into UC Santa Barbara, but it was more about finding out that there are so many more kids who don't get accepted to four-year colleges who graduate high school than who do. There are so many more kids who are out there who are just like me, where they were bright, they were smart, but they might not have gotten the grades, they might not have had the financial support to be able to go to a four-year college right out of high school. And I realized that there was this huge population of high school graduates who were playing rugby who couldn't go to college, or who were going to the local junior college and not able to play college rugby. They had to play, club rugby, or they stopped playing altogether. So eventually, the academy kind of took over as my real passion in terms of the group of students that I wanted to serve, because I realized there was so much more that we can do as far as developing them as rugby players, as students, and ultimately as human beings, as men, and now as women as well, because we just started the women's program that kicked off this last week. So now in 7 years, we've had 42 of our students who've gone on and matriculated to four-year universities. We've had Alec Gletzer, captain at Cal, Tommy Bashar at Penn State, Max Weber at UCLA, but Arizona State, UC Davis. I mean, we've sent students all across the country, and I tell you, it gives me a lot of pride to see not how well they do when they're with me, but more importantly, how well they do once they've left. So that's that's the real reward for me, and it's why I do it.
And you're continuing then national leadership with Kelly Griffin coming in to head the women's program. That has to make a difference between her national involvement, your national involvement, your pro involvement. I mean, you have quite the resume of coaches there.
Yeah, I'll tell you. I mean, I think God was smiling on this when that day when I got the email from Kelly saying that she was moving to Santa Barbara and she was looking to be involved. I mean, yeah, what a phenomenal playing career she's had so far, and she's not done yet. And to meet her as a person, to get to know her as a person, she's just a tremendous individual. And I think I'm really fortunate to be able to work with her. Our young men, I've been really fortunate over the last couple of months to be exposed to her and to work with her. I mean, she's just got tremendous sense of character and leadership. And talk about an ultimate professional. I mean, she's an Olympic captain. I mean, Olympians are few and far between, and the Olympic captain is even more special. And she is every bit what she's built up to be in terms of just professional, highly intelligent, highly organized, and just a real great, genuine person to be around. And what an experience for our young ladies, to be able to, I was looking through some of the applications, and one of the questions is who's your biggest inspiration? Who do you admire the most as a player? And you'd see Richie McCaw, or you'd see some of these big names, and one of the names on there was Kelly Griffin, and I thought, wow, she must have been pretty tickled to see that. I mean, yeah, Kelly is really expanded, I think, what we were able to do, and she's just bringing so much more value to the program. So we're real fortunate to have her.
Well, I hope to hear positive things about the academy and its growth. It's certainly located in a beautiful city. I've been there, gorgeous place. And thank you for spending some time with us.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.